Right, y'all, welcome to the Combat Arms channel. Okay, so today we're checking out a video from United 24. Now, this was something that a lot of y'all recommended to me, and it's just taken me a while to actually get to it. But this is about some Ukrainian paratroopers getting surrounded by some Russian forces. Now, the description mentions that there was a convoy, an armored convoy, as well as some tanks that were surrounding these guys. And yeah, I gotta say, even just doing like training exercises when you're going against tanks, not a fun time, especially when you're being surrounded like this. I'm not sure how big of a force this was, but when you have a large armored convoy, especially like any sort of mechanized convoy or any vehicles with weapons, kind of trying to hit that, especially when you're kind of like confined to some compounds, not going to be a fun time. I'm not sure what it actually looks like yet because I haven't seen the video, but if you're like in an urban compound and you have these vehicles kind of surrounding you, yeah, it's gonna be stressful. And it looks like they even had some journalists embedded with this unit, which would give us kind of an outside looking in perspective, but also kind of, you know, in the shit with them, for lack of a better term. But should be interesting. Let's go ahead and check it out.
This, like for all soldiers, is their life now. Ukraine.
Was that
or death?
Norwegian dude? Damn, what was that? Okay, I know we're probably gonna see a lot of this. Whoa, okay, what? Was that dude right there?
Ukraine.
Sorry, I know we haven't gotten... Golly, right in that back blast. That is an insane clip. Shooting that, what, AT4 or whatever?
Last hope.
Dude, the dark humor during all this is insane.
So, as a journalist working in war zones, I guess one would say you do quite a few things that a lot of people would call borderline irresponsible. But this today might well be the most irresponsible of them all.
Yeah, it's not borderline.
We are Ukrainian paratroopers, and we're embedding with them. The mission is to hold the first line of defense outside a small village, which has been taken by the Russian army just a couple of days ago.
Yeah, without this media, again, we wouldn't see a lot of this. You might see it on GoPros, but media gives us a better kind of like insight and background.
It's because I am. But we felt like it is our job to show what it looks like, raw and unfiltered, when the Russian army is assaulting with all its might. We also wanted to show what it means to stand in their way. In the next 25 minutes, that is exactly what you will see.
That's a badass way of describing that. Again, like, with this much adversity, kind of showing this much like strength and resilience and stuff, it just goes to show like the spirit of the Ukrainian troops. It's really hard to compare to a lot in modern times. In that, you know, again, their country is literally going to be taken over if, you know, they don't fight back.
That is exactly what you will see.
They lose all their, you know, homes, and
the war behind us is extremely.
Of course, it's not gonna be great for the family and friends.
And where all the sounds are coming from, that's where we're going. We're quickly swapping the car. Some of the guys just came from there. Now
it's a lot of 40 mic.
We're gonna load up, and we're gonna be fast.
Be the grenade belt for his grenade launcher. Oh yeah, that's a lot of ammo. He's gonna use it quick, I bet. Seeing their grenade launcher's effectiveness in these videos really makes me just want to constantly have a grenade launcher on me. At least like a standalone system. Having that indirect fire weapon system is clutch, especially with HEDP.
The car stops, we run. 300
it's a
meters
high explosive dual
field,
purpose.
Dodging craters.
Just lugging around this giant water jug.
We enter position 1. We will call it the shelter. The paratroopers hold 2 positions along this road. The other we will call the yard. The shelter is for resting, the yard for surveillance. From there, the Russians are only 600 meters away.
I mean, you have to feel like super uneasy. 600 meters, I mean, you could have an entire formation cross 600 meters easily in like 10 minutes, you know, if you have a lot of stuff too as well. So like, you definitely can't be getting complacent when you're that close to the enemy.
Напротив нас там дом с подвалом. На 4 человека. Спека смотрели каждые 15 минут, там можно прям возле подвала смотреть. И можно там справа дом. Вот там такое, ебать. Надо слушать, короче, чтобы не было дронов. Потому что есть пивихи, сбросы, все въебывают сюда. Блядь, хуево качество. Ну, тут, короче, крайний дом. Здесь крайний дом. Тут еще типа какой огород, сад, хуй пойми. Тут такая траншейка небольшая идет. Возле
Seeing the planning is so interesting. It's always
здесь
super
поставили
interesting.
ОЗМ-ку. Здесь противопехотки.
Especially to see what kind of imagery they're working
Короче,
with.
слева дома никуда не ходить и...
Если идти по этой дороге, только тут трансформатор. Если идти по этой дороге и вообще сюда проходить, чтобы трансформатор постоянно был по правое плечо.
They're just talking about like what areas to avoid. It's nice having imagery because on the ground it's going to be a lot harder to interpret.
This will be our home for the next few days.
After a quick introduction by some units that were already here, we got a couple of hours of much needed sleep. As you just heard, it's pretty loud. The village is under constant attack. A couple of minutes ago, we had glide bombs landing somewhere here in the vicinity.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's too dangerous to go even outside just for a couple of minutes. As you can see here, this is the toilet.
Oh, damn, dude.
That says it all.
The building itself doesn't have
We share
one.
the shelter with
I guess the plumbing
Punk,
probably wouldn't work. Huh?
Mordechuk, and Albert. Sava, whose real name is Roma, is the commander, a tattoo artist from Kyiv. Punk
like
is,
the tattoos.
a punk. Mordechuk used to be a sailor, and Albert worked in the IT sector, but his real passion was always the great outdoors. They belong
Got
to
the
the
camping
Kaifariki.
stoves.
It translates loosely to those who enjoy life. They are, like many others in Ukraine, a group of friends who came together when the war started.
No
What
kidding.
separates them from almost all others is that some were active members of various subcultures, like anti-fascist hooligans. They really are the complete opposite of what Russian propaganda portrays Ukrainian soldiers to be. Rebels, but with a cause.
It's so interesting seeing like these friends come together, especially like this far in the war, like kind of being able to maintain that unit integrity is awesome.
The day progresses, and the shelling intensifies. Outside the cellar, we hear the constant whir of drones. Ours, theirs,
Jeez,
who
dude.
knows?
Imagine trying to sleep through all of
Since we've been
that.
stationed here, we've been holding the line,
No way.
supporting nearby brigades, doing recon, and bracing ourselves for an enemy attack. I expect it'll come early morning, or when it's dark, or maybe during bad weather. No matter when it happens, we'll give them everything we've got.
Yeah, they're even kind of
This position
considering
is
when to
very
expect
close
the
to a
attack.
village that our enemy recently captured, and now they're leveling this village to the ground.
Yeah, I would be very surprised for them to actually push a full-blown assault before like artillery has pretty much just knocked this building to the ground. It looks like they're in like the basement kind of portion, but even still, like if artillery is actively like effectively hitting that building, that's gonna make it pretty much impossible for these guys to operate, you know, if not just survive. So I'll be kind of surprised if they kind of push it, because we've kind of seen it with this war where it's a lot easier to just let artillery do the work,
It's quiet in this second,
especially when they have the ammunition and stuff.
but as you know, the fighting picks up morning and night. Drones are constantly buzzing overhead, ours and theirs, trying to pinpoint positions. The enemy has the upper hand here. More firepower, more artillery, more troops, more of everything.
Damn, nice machine gun setup.
They're pushing hard to break through, and they're making progress.
It's gotta feel
The situation is
disheartening.
critical. Moving around during the day is too risky. Too many drones. They spot you immediately. They fly over every house that's still standing, over every basement, trying to locate our infantry.
Again, it really feels like that
We've
that
learned
feeling
that
of
the
being
hard way.
surrounded.
They
that
soften
everything's
us up
being-
with artillery, so that
everything's being
infantry
watched.
hunkers down in the basements, doesn't manage to put up any real defenses, and the enemy moves in and just lobs grenades down into the basements.
Damn, that's so shitty. again, like it's so easy to feel like so helpless when you're just fixed in place and kind of expecting grenades to just start rolling down the stairs. Again, there's like certain levels of security you can do to kind of prevent that level of surprise. But at the same time, if they're just hitting you that hard, it's going to be hard to pull security, especially when the buildings start getting knocked down and you don't really have any observation posts. So yeah, it's definitely going to be disheartening for these guys. But you can see they're not just giving in regardless of that fact.
Right now, everything is stable, but we're waiting for nightfall and another round of clashes with the enemy.
As night approaches, the boys slowly start getting ready for rotation. Punk gives a quick introduction of the group's hardware.
An assault rifle isn't much use against anything other than infantry. With the PKM, you can at least engage lightly armored vehicles. Maybe even try to penetrate the rear of a BMP.
Didn't have an ACOG on that thing? That's sick.
We've got armor-piercing rounds we captured from the Russians for BMPs, BRDMs.
Okay. Keep those on
But they
standby
won't stop a tank.
for the technicals.
We have one N-lock, but that's it. So if a tank comes rolling in, we'll have only one shot, and then we'd better get the fuck out of there.
That's stressful. Give that to the best shooter. Thermals is a game changer in being able to like
When
track
we
what's
start,
happening.
We split.
It's disheartening. If you can see somebody on thermals, then they're probably pretty close, at least in this kind of terrain.
Our cameraman moves with the Kaifaniki to position 2, the yard. There, the boys conduct small reconnaissance missions, checking the road, watching for enemy movement. It's silent work, but dangerous. You can be sure that on the other side, someone is also watching.
And it's hard to like move to the offensive in a position like this
I
unless
stay
you get
behind
someone
at the
else.
shelter, and
to
I'm
support.
joined by Gaba, Django, Ine, and Obama. They are from
Obama.
BSDG, the Black Sea Defense Group, founded by Gaba and 2 others from Odessa. Also, they
Obama
are,
joined the
like
Ukrainian
Kaifaniki,
military, huh?
a group of friends, mostly martial artists, who gathered when war began. The atmosphere is friendly. We are joined by a cat that has escaped the war above in search of some grub and cuddles. That's how the night begins.
We got a collar on too. I wonder if they gave him the collar or if it's just from the previous owner or something.
At 4 a.m., bombs start to pound the
That's
village.
depressing to think about.
The walls shake. Debris scatters down the stairs. The carpet begins to flutter like a flag warning us. Trouble is coming. 100 meters away, the same bombs have ripped us from our sleep. But in the cellar, without
Holy
eyes on the
cow.
road, only the radio will tell us what is happening.
Oh
The
my
other group
gosh.
calls for help.
Габа, это была, нужна твоя поддержка, нужна твоя поддержка.
Плюс. Куда поддержка? Куда?
Нужна поддержка в плане противотанков, нужна поддержка в плане
Well,
противотанков.
when you have tanks moving in, you're asking for that support. It sucks for them though, because again,
Плюсяра,
they're
сова, плюсяра. Я информацию слышал.
being pinned
Но мы
down.
пока не можем высунуть даже носа, ебать. Хуярят очень сильно.
That's gonna be such a tough feeling. Not being able to help them out.
Пацани, дуже швидко піздою, блядь.
Dude. It's interesting seeing the light discipline they're using in here.
Штурмовать? Yeah.
Штурм.
Okay.
Like, without this night vision camera, like you probably wouldn't see much at all because they're obviously not trying to
Storm.
shine lights.
That's what they call an assault in Ukraine. A Russian armored convoy is heading down the road. The commander, Gaba, prepares an RPG.
Сука. Это что за хуйня, ебать? Я как будто разучился все делать, нахуй.
With heavy machinery, our only chance is to pray they don't know where we are, to wait in the shadows, and when the time is right, to pounce.
That's one way to clear the back blast. Dude, I can't see what he hit. Was it that close? Jeez. Damn, that's scary. Dude, if anything just hits that wall or the corner, then effectively they'll be trapped in there.
It's pure chaos.
Golly,
The
dude.
guys are burning through ammunition, trying to stop the Russians from overrunning them.
It's hard to start picking targets at that point. Like, you want to suppress and keep them back, or confuse them with how many people are actually in the shelter. But at the same time, again, you need to conserve ammunition.
One
And make sure
soldier
you
always
actually-
has his gun to the exit, his eyes scanning from left to right.
Using the ammunition on targets.
The grenades start to run low, but still, there are smiles.
Last hope.
Golly. Again, like, they know where they're at, and these guys are kind of in the low ground. Doesn't help either.
There is no other way to describe this situation but madness. Really? You fucked the tank? I love you, brother, man. I love you.
Golly, the sound effects. Jeez, the anxiety these guys are feeling.
In the middle of the battle, my night vision camera breaks. It records only static and sound. It's ironic because I barely remember any part of this, but it happened. Both where we laugh like maniacs. I trust in you. And where Obama tells me to kill myself if the Russians enter.
Знаешь, что ты можешь сделать? Скажи. Если они зайдут сюда,
He stops speaking. He puts his fingers to his mouth and pulls the imaginary trigger.
Golly.
Back at the yard,
I mean, that's like
the
peak
Russians are closing
disheartening.
in fast. Sava and his group are not as lucky as us. The enemy knows exactly where they are.
Actually, this is a yard.
Малыш, малыш,
Golly.
малыш,
Dude, just hearing the hell outside, and then the radio just stops working right. Dude, look at that high angle on that grenade launcher too.
Тихо, дальше, тихо, тихо.
The anxiety of just like looking almost like 360. All these directions that they could be coming in.
The only way in and out leads through an open yard. Punk blasts his rifle, and with his grenade launcher, Sava, the commander, sends one round after the next, hurling towards the enemy.
Dude.
У меня легкая в руку, сова, легкая.
Then he's injured.
Все увидим, все будет хорошо, пацаны. Я вас люблю.
Flying shrapnel scrapes
Dang.
open his forearm, but he continues fighting.
He's so level-headed. The guts of being out there like that too.
3 hours into the battle, daylight breaks.
Damn, I wonder how
It's
much
hard
ammo
to
they
say
have now.
what is going on in his mind as he calmly slides past the wall, stained with his blood again and again.
I was about to say, like,
chucking
that
grenades
blood
through the
didn't seem
opening
like it was there
and
before.
returning to take a sip of water, like some people spend the hot summer's day in a park, passing a ping pong ball to their friend to serve.
Dude. Dude's hard as fuck.
At the
Jeez.
shelter, the fight has calmed down a bit. One of the BSDG always watches the entrance, ready to fire at any moment. They switch every couple of minutes.
It's gotta be so nerve-wracking.
The
And
rest
just keep the
reload,
weapon up
rest
too.
and reflect.
Just exhausting.
Django has lost his hearing, but apart from that, everyone is okay. The adrenaline wears off a bit, and we can start to think straight.
I'm really wondering what their ammunition's looking like right now.
Три танка, 2 бэхи, 2 БТР.
Jeez.
Это было сегодня утром.
That is a
But
lot
the
of
calm is
armor
deceptive.
to be going
All
against.
of a sudden, we hear the gentle hiss of a gas grenade, and smoke starts to fill the room. I film the beginning on my phone before I can get my camera to work. Is it poison gas? Tear gas? Are they trying to smoke us out? Will they come in? The boys don't take any chances and start shooting.
Dude. I don't know if it was like some sort of like CS
lucky.
gas or anything.
It's not poison, and the Russians don't enter. But we are surrounded, and we realize we will not be leaving this cellar anytime soon.
Damn, dude.
At the yard, the fight is in full swing.
And there's no talk of surrender or anything.
The Russians have closed off the roads and taken up position in a house directly opposite.
No kidding.
Because backup can't reach us, the guys try to coordinate Ukrainian mortar crews and drone units via the radio.
Nice.
Там
Dude, there's comms. Imagine if they lost comms with that support.
Finally, a friendly drone drops an explosive over the enemy position.
Nice. But also not nice that it's right there.
You can hear an injured Russian moaning in pain. But for Sava, the commander,
Dude.
it is not enough. He does not want to take any chances and leaves cover to fire an RPG.
Damn, dude. Oh, I bet that backblast felt terrible.
At the
This
shelter,
was like one day.
tensions are high. We hear voices. The Russians are just outside. One seems to be injured. We hear them chanting in unison, trying to heave their comrade over the ground. They call for backup. More arrive. Their voices get louder and louder.
Малыш, ебаните в нас. Малыш, ебаните в нас. У нас есть дохуя пидоров. Тихонечко, сука, делают. Ебаните
It's not like
в
there's a
нас.
whole squad just like right out there.
Gaba sends a final call for
Are they
help
saying
over
shark?
the radio. There is a cellar, we hear one of the Russians say. They're coming. It is the moment when my life should be flashing before my eyes, but it doesn't. I only see Obama, his lips twisting around his teeth as he and Django stand with the guns in their hand.
Oh my god, the stress, dude.
But once again, we are lucky. Our call for help was heard. Ifaraki
Nice
and
hit.
SDG fighters assist with drones, mortars, and RPG strikes from behind the fields around.
Nice.
From above, you can see the full scale of the inferno.
Jeez, dude. I mean, just look at the state of all these buildings, and these guys are trying to survive in the basement of one.
Inside, explosions very close to us tell us Ukrainian troops are firing at the Russians.
Nice, dude.
Gaba decides that attack is the best defense. He throws
Yeah, hell
grenades
yeah.
and then
Get out of
shoots
there while
an
they
RPG
can.
at the house opposite us, where we suspect them to be.
Oh, the concussion of that. Dude. It's like they just got hit with one. That back blast is no joke. Oh, dude.
Back at the yard, the situation worsens. It's been over 12 hours of battle.
Dude, how do they still have ammo? This dude's just still rocking it.
300! Сюда! Контроль!
Punk is wounded. A piece of shrapnel has lodged itself deep into his leg. The boys move him from the yard to the entrance. Albert provides cover while Sava applies first aid. Punk is struggling not to go into shock, his eyes rolling into the back of his head. They move him onto the staircase where he fights the pain.
Dude.
The rest continue fighting the Russians, who are making another push. They realize that they cannot stay here much longer. Ammunition and energy are running out. The road is still blocked. To escape, the group will have to run around behind enemy lines.
Dude. That PKM is putting in work too. Their equipment seems to be holding up. Goes to show they probably did some solid pre-combat checks.
Плюс, а кто-то может артой подсобить, закрыть типа пидоров, чтобы в этот момент проскочили?
Пробуем, first.
Давай, на связи.
Just 50 meters behind the yard, the drone pilot has spotted an empty trench. It's their best chance. The only
Nice.
problem, the Russians have a BTR positioned at the crossroads. Clumsily, they have driven it into a ditch.
Oh
but
my
the crew
gosh.
is still inside.
What? What? It's like, just stay here. That equipment is expensive.
At the shelter, there is good and bad news. The good news, the voices of the Russians have died down. Are they dead, injured, only hiding? We don't know. The bad
Dude, the
news,
bullet
the
impacts
house
on
we
that
are
wall.
under and all the houses around us are on fire. The cellar starts to fill with smoke.
Dude, just
We all
hearing
get a
the...
headache, the first sign of carbon monoxide poisoning.
Imagine that, just dying from
As
carbon
the sun
monoxide
slowly
poisoning.
sets, we decide we have to
Yeah.
make a run for it.
These
The
guys,
other
these guys are not going to
paratroopers
let
have
that
set up a
happen.
first line of defense at the edge of a field that ends right behind our shelter. My camera at this point has no more battery. The only footage we have is from Obama's body cam. We leave the shelter after 14 hours of hell and run.
That was just 14 hours.
Miraculously, we all make it. Sava and the others fight their way out through enemy-controlled territory. All four, plus our cameraman, are injured. Their exit was made possible by two comrades, Vegan and Woody, who killed the crew of the Russian BTR blocking the exit.
Nice, dude.
Having survived only due to the bravery
Golly.
and resilience of the commanders Sava, Gaba, and their boys, we head home with a near-death experience that hopefully won't repeat itself so soon. For the Kaifariki
that
and
is-
the BSDG, it's back to war the next day.
That's a
This,
hell of a near-death
like for all
experience.
soldiers, is their life now. Ukraine or death.
Damn. Just like, again, like,
Even if
they,
it was tough to
they
watch,
don't have that
our
option.
report gave you a valuable insight into how war in Ukraine actually looks like. But another thing, war is expensive, and units like the Kaifariki rely heavily on donations for many things: medical supplies, electronics, cars. So if you have the capacity and the will to help them out, I'm sure they would be very grateful if you do so. And you can do it here, either via PayPal or the link to this Ukrainian bank account.
Good stuff. Of course, I'll put the information for United 24 in the channel description. So definitely go and check them out. Definitely go and give them some support, and definitely help out when you can, because just the journalism and the guts to be around these units and embed themselves. Of course, we can see the fighters are absolute badasses, but again, those journalists embedding themselves, they're doing it so we can get some insight into how these fighters are living, and again, what it means when they're saying like Ukraine or death. You know, that is literally their lives. This was like one day, not even, of their experience in this war. So again, another fantastic video from United 24 showcasing and highlighting what these fighters are up to in this war. And again, this is just like one of those smaller kind of buddy units of people who got together when the war kicked off. And we've been seeing a lot of work from the bigger units as well, especially with Azov or the 3rd Assault Brigade. There's a lot of units that are putting in some serious work, and this is just one small example of one of the smaller units. And we wouldn't be able to get this kind of insight if it weren't for United 24 or these journalists going out there and embedding themselves with these very tough missions. He kind of very well understood what was going to happen, where those guys were going, and he embedded himself in there anyway. So huge kudos to those guys who have the guts to go out there and do that and give us an insight into what those fighters are dealing with. But hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, if there's anything to recommend, especially with some of these smaller units, like this is like super fascinating to get some insight into this specific niche, kind of like buddy group, just a small group of fighters, just doing a lot of work. And again, just having like the drones giving us perspective of what their fighting area or what their operational environment is looking like in this one day is really interesting, especially me with my infantry background, just thinking like how you can deal with this sort of terrain, or how you can deal with the enemy, especially when they have all these armored forces. It's a lot to think about. And again, we're seeing a lot of kind of lessons learned with these Ukrainian fighters, and they're adapting, and they're doing a great job at it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think. If you guys did appreciate it, definitely feel free to hit that thumbs up. And again, definitely make sure you check out United 24 and see how you might be able to support some of these fighters, because again, even like small things add up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. That is it for this video. I'll see you on the next one.